Okay, here we are. This is our last lesson in this set. You know the routine. Start a new drawing. Drawing. All right, I'm going to move over here and just pan around so I can kind of see what I'm doing. UN at the command prompt. Change from decimal to architectural. Click OK. This one's going to go by really quickly. REC for a rectangle. Doesn't really matter where I'm starting it from because I'm going to move it in just a moment anyway. Left click just somewhere out in space. All right. Here I'm going to type in 3-3/4 and then click the tab or press the tab key once to move into that next field, and that is 6-3/4, and that's establishing the relative x and y coordinates of what we just worked with right there. So this is a rectangle that is 3 3/4 inches long and 6 3/4 inches tall. I'm going to move this object, M for move, select that rectangle, push return. I'm going to move it starting from this midpoint right here. And I wanted to move it directly to the 0, 0 origin point of this drawing. So left click down here in the command prompt and type in 0, 0. And the comma didn't take. Something didn't quite work right. Let's try that again. Click there. Make sure and click down in the command prompt, 0, 0, and push return. There we go. Now it's doing what I wanted it to. I'm going to zoom in a little so I can see what's going on. Use my offset tool, OF, and I'm going to offset 1/2 inch. I'll offset this rectangle to the inside 1/2 inch. There we go. I'm going to use my grips. I'm going to select this this inside rectangle. I'm going to use my grips. I'm actually going to I'm going to click on this middle section, which is the same as saying stretch, by the way. But I'm going to click right here, and I'm going to move it out. All I want to do is I want these to cross. I don't need a specific direction because I'm about to trim this and modify it that way. All right, cancel, so I can start with a fresh slate, as it were. No objects selected. Type TR at the command prompt because I want to trim. I want every object to cut every other object, so I'm going to say select all, accept the default, and push return a second time. And I'm going to trim out that piece, and that piece, and this piece. Push return. Okay? So you should have a C on one side and a little skinny line on the other. Okay, type E for erase, or however you want to erase this little leftover line right there. I'm going to create another rectangle, REC for rectangle. Press return. Doesn't really matter where I start because I'm going to move it into position. Okay, and at this point I'm going to type in 4.5 tab 5.25 and press return. And that gives us exactly the size rectangle that I wanted. I'm going to move this rectangle from this midpoint here to that midpoint right there. And now I'm going to move that same rectangle one more time. Now remember, hold on, let me back that up, cancel out of this. AutoCAD remembers the last command that you used. The last command we used was the move command, so if I push return right now, it will start the move command again. AutoCAD also remembers the last objects you manipulated. So at this point, when it asks you select the objects, you can type P and push return, and it will automatically remember that object. Really, it doesn't make a lot of sense when you're only selecting one object, but when you're selecting 400, it makes a big difference. So I'm done selecting my objects. I push return, and I'm going to move this 3/8 of an inch to the right. There we go. That is the final block that we are using, and it is a toilet paper dispenser. So, Control S for save. I'm going to call this TP single. They do make double ones, and the block is actually kind of similar. Click save. There we go. And that is drawing the last block.